With the release of the iPhone 14 lineup, Apple is taking its products in a new direction. The phones cater in a major way to adventurers and those who enjoy some daring do. But sometimes adventures can go sideways, and among the many safety features included in these devices is the iPhone's emergency SOS satellite feature. In this video, we'll discuss the feature and when it will come to an iPhone near you. First, you're in for something cool if you don't know what emergency SOS is. When going on a hike or similar excursion, you can take it seriously that you'll have cell service or even GPS everywhere you go. This is a normal part of the experience for expert hikers, and they'll tell you that a satellite communicator is an essential piece of equipment. Communicators like this can find and link up to a satellite in space, using that satellite to relay a call or message to emergency services. But what if you didn't need an expensive satellite communicator anymore? What if that feature was built into your smartphone, specifically your iPhone? Through built-in software, the iPhone 14 models can help you position your phone in a way that'll allow it to send a blue bubble to emergency services. Now you don't ever have to feel trapped in the middle of nowhere. There is a catch. Emergency SOS only does text at the moment. Also, iPhone 14 users will have emergency SOS for free for 2 years, and there'll be a subscription fee after that. Apple has yet to reveal the pricing or the terms of that subscription, so that's up in the air. Well, the phones have been rocking the hardware since launch. The software required to use the feature was set to release in an iOS 16 update in November. Well, it's November, so it's time to revisit emergency SOS. Next, looks like Apple is tagging in Globalstar to support the feature. The fruit company made a whopping $450 million investment in the company, which operates a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites and ground stations to communicate with them. Globalstar has channeled that investment into serious upgrades to those ground stations across the United States and beyond by adding high-power antennas to the stations and putting 300 employees to work supporting the service. What's in it for Apple? Well, it'll help emergency SOS work better. How so? Let us explain. Think of a cell tower that relays voice and messages to other towers until it reaches its destination. Put one of those in space, and that's what Globalstar's satellites are. But the satellites can't make direct contact with emergency services. They transmit the messages they receive to the ground stations, and the crew can see them. The satellites can also transmit location data, which is important if you're looking for someone who's lost. Apple needs companies like Globalstar to cooperate and provide a strong enough service to back emergency SOS up. And it looks like Globalstar is more than happy to oblige, reserving 85% of its operational capacity for emergency SOS. They are hitching themselves to Tim Cook's cart. However, this means that emergency SOS will only be available in the 14 countries where Globalstar operates, starting in the US and Canada. Now, does this all sound exciting? We think so. Here's when to expect the feature to launch in earnest. But before that, here's where to expect the feature. All the new iPhones. That does include the 14 and the 14 Plus too. Now, if you head over to Apple's support page for the feature, it still says it will come with an iOS update in November. However, we've had 2 software updates this month already. iOS 16.1 filled in some of the gaps from iOS 16, while iOS 16.1.1 focused more on bug fixes. Neither one came with emergency SOS. The month is still young though. Apple could drop iOS 16.2 or something that'll finally add the feature to the phone. We'd say it would be shrewd of Apple to drop this update sometime before Black Friday. With the discounts on iPhones bringing fresh excitement to those wanting a shiny new phone, Apple could add a killer feature exclusive to the new iPhones to further drive excitement. There is, of course, the possibility that the update has run into a hitch. It's something that's rarely been done before in the mainstream smartphone space, and Apple is still sinking money into companies getting partners to jack up their satellite capabilities for them. Even in this case, the update will come before the year ends. Indeed, if Apple misses the Black Friday window, they could always target the holiday season shopping window instead. Let's also look at competitors trying to get a slice of the action. Apple is partnering with Globalstar for their emergency SOS service, and it looks like SpaceX isn't too happy about that. You see, while the company's endgame is to get humanity to Mars, the main thing they do right now is launch satellites for clients into space, including Starlink. While they would have loved for Apple to team up with them to form a tech juggernaut, SpaceX is courting other companies to develop a direct-to-smartphone satellite communication service with them. The company is planning to launch satellites with text transmission capabilities as early as 2024, and they want a partner to help them provide the service to people's phones. Among them is a Spanish startup, Satellite, launching its first satellite with SpaceX early next year. Their goal is less emergency service, though, and more along the lines of Internet of Things, or IoT. SpaceX is also tapping telecom providers like T-Mobile for partnerships. The company's senior director of satellite engineering, Sarah Spangelo, also said that over 50 telcos had approached SpaceX themselves during an address at the Connecting the World from the Skies conference in Riyadh. Some of those deals are expected to be inked for good in early 2023. Now, Elon Musk isn't alone in this race. Viasat, a major Starlink competitor, has plans to jump into the direct-to-smartphone game. The real question here is whether any of these can touch Apple. You'll notice that in this entire video segment, we have yet to mention any smartphone companies. No Samsung, no Google, not even Huawei. The reason is that there needs to be more interest from smartphone makers regarding direct-to-smartphone. This is even though Google put a tiny radar in the Pixel 4, which bombed and disappeared from its successor. We suspect Apple's competitors are waiting to see how the emergency SOS service plays out. It's a very niche feature, and it requires investment in some expensive hardware. We're still determining if that sort of hardware is available from off-the-shelf vendors like Qualcomm, or if it's just Apple that has designed satellite communication hardware for phones in-house. The fact that Apple is charging a subscription for the service will be a big indicator of whether this feature will become a smartphone staple. If the service generates enough revenue for the company, there's no doubt that you'll be seeing satellite communication in the next Galaxy or Pixel phones. In a way, SpaceX and Starlink need Apple to succeed with emergency SOS. That's the only way other smartphone makers will be interested in adding competing features, and only then would they approach the Musk empire for help. Finally, can this thing be successful? Again, it's a niche feature and one that Apple is spending a lot of money to provide. What Apple is counting on is that the group is only small now. The trick is getting people to want to use emergency SOS to make them keep turning up with those subscription fees. Do you know that feeling you get when your device has a cool feature and you just want to use it? Apple has derived a lot of success from that before. The biggest example is Fitness Plus, whose gamification with the fitness rings drove many people to think more about their health and about getting an Apple Watch. As a result, the Apple Watch is the watch for people getting into fitness. The fact that you don't have to worry about getting lost anymore with your iPhone 14 might make you want to try and get lost just to experience the feeling. And you could pair the phone with an Apple Watch Ultra, which has its suite of features designed for the more intrepid users. More so than any other tech company, Apple has shown that its brand and marketing are strong enough to influence pop culture and people's mindsets. Emergency SOS is their latest stab at doing just that. And you know what? It's never a good idea to bet against Apple. That's it for today's video. What do you think of Apple's emergency SOS? Do you think that it's the next killer feature, or is this a weird tangent on which the tech industry is wasting its time? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.